All right. So real quick, let me just kind of share this message with you guys. Um, and Leslie, I know you and I kind of already talked about this a little bit, but for those of you that couldn't get on the call, and Devin, if you can listen later, whatever. But for those of you that couldn't get on the call, hold on.
No.
All right, so I'm going to talk for probably like 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll jump into the Power Hour thing, which I'm going to try to do a screen share with the Power Hour. We'll see how it goes with the recording. But if not, we'll just we'll do our own Power Hour. So this past weekend, I was actually sitting in church, and the message was about, how did he word it? It was basically about like owning your faith, like owning like your faith as a Christian and owning the fact that you're a Christian, and really like taking ownership in that. So I'm sitting here listening to this message, and it was like a gut check for me, like with, like my life, like the Christianity side of things. I'm like, okay, I need to get better at that. I'm guilty of that, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm kind of listening to all that. And then it's so funny how sometimes, I don't know if this is just me, but there's a lot of times in church where I'm like, man, this message is like totally accurate for this part of my life. And it is totally fitting for business as well. Like there's so many times where they just coincide, which is so funny. But so anyways, I'm sitting here listening to this message, and it really like got me thinking about our business. And I was thinking about how I feel like this is something like a big thing that a lot of us kind of struggle with, is just taking ownership of our business. So basically what he was talking about is he was saying how, people, I'm going to kind of try to summarize it quickly. Basically how, people, they say they're Christians and they are Christians, but they'll come to church on Sunday, they'll hear the message, they'll, sing the music, whatever, and then they'll kind of turn around and they'll just go do their normal everyday life. Like they don't change anything. They don't go out of their way to really practice getting better as a Christian, or they don't really go out of their way to really like take ownership of being a Christian and doing the things that, God wants you to do, or, just doing the things like Jesus would do. Okay. So they go to church on Sundays and they do that. Or, you have the people that they come to church and they listen to the pastor and they listen to the message. And they almost, how did he word it? Like they let the church feed them, but then they don't go like feed other people. So they'll come in every Sunday and they'll get that message and they'll let that message fill them up. Okay. Like they'll come in and they'll listen to the pastor and they'll let the pastor fill them up, but then they'll turn around and they won't go fill anybody else up. They won't go share the message with anybody else. They selfishly keep the message to themselves. They get their cup filled, and then they leave the church and they don't go fill anybody else's cup and share the message. Or, they're bitter, like they're, bitter about their Christian life, or they're like, there's just like, I need more, the pastor needs to dig deeper, or, they do something bad or they do something wrong and they almost blame the pastor. Like, he should have given us more messages, or he should have gone deeper, or whatever it is. And our pastor's actually like really funny. So it was like a really funny message. I wish you guys could have like actually listened to it, because it would have made more sense of what I was trying to say. But it really got me thinking about our business, and I could see so many areas where I'm like, oh, wow, like we really kind of do that as coaches, right? Like, so we come to like the team calls, or I was thinking about like the push groups. We show up to the push groups, or, we get on like a really inspirational call and we're like, yes, like we're motivated and, you know, like our cups are filled and we took all this and we got what we need. But then honestly, like how many times do we get off of those calls and not go share the message with anybody? Like how many times do we get off of a super inspirational call and then we don't go invite anybody to our business opportunity? We don't go share the opportunity with anybody. So we show up on the call and we're like, yes, like we're getting it and, you know, we're feeling awesome. But then we don't go share the freaking opportunity with anybody. Like that's lazy and selfish. And I do it too, guys. So I'm calling myself lazy and selfish. Or we're in a push group, you know, we're in whatever the push group is at the time, Push for Diamond or whatever, you know. I did this back in the day with diamond push groups too, I'm sure. But we're in the push group and we're showing up into the group and we're like feeling the fire, you know, but then we're coming out of the group and we're not even hitting diamond. We're not actually pushing for that next goal. So I don't know. I was just relating the two and thinking about how so many times we're guilty of that. Like we want to be fed in the business. Like give us more inspiration. You know, like the company needs to be doing more. The company needs to feed us more, or our upline needs to do more, or, you know, motivate us more or recognize us more. You know, the company should be recognizing us more, whatever it is. Like, you know, we're telling ourselves people need to give us more, feed us more. But then like, are we really taking what we get and going and sharing it with other people? Are we really taking, like, after we've been fed, are we really going and feeding other people? Like really doing it? So hold on, I'm looking at my notes before I totally get off track. Go on to my next thing. So another thing I was thinking about, like kind of talking about the groups and, you know, showing up and like, and getting fed and all this, like, I feel like so many times we, instead of like stepping out and taking ownership, which, okay, in my mind, taking ownership of your business means like, I'm going to be a freaking independent business owner. Like, this is my business. It's my business and my life. It is up to me to step up to the plate and make it whatever the hell I want to make it. Like, so it's totally up to you. You have to decide, what do you want your business to be? Do you want to be a hobby coach? Do you want to be a discount coach? Do you want to sign a couple challengers? Or do you really want this business to change your life? Because I feel like sometimes coaches say like, yeah, I have these big goals and I want it to change my life and I want a full-time income, or I want to, stay home with my kids. But like, do you really want that? Because if you really want that, like if you can feel it deep down inside and you know it's there and you really want it, I feel like the first thing you have to do is you have to accept that, like you have to take that ownership and accept that responsibility of being a business owner. And I feel like that is one of the things that people struggle with the most. And I know I struggled with it in the past too, but I feel like taking ownership is being independent and saying, okay, I'm going to treat this like a business. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to step up to the plate, like regardless of what everybody else is doing, that doesn't matter. And then it's also like stepping out of everybody else's shadows. Like I talked about on one of the last calls, I see coaches who like they show up to the inspirational calls and they almost like use that fire. It's almost like they use other people's fire to light their own fire instead of lighting their own fire themselves. So hopefully I'm kind of like making sense and I'm not just kind of all over the place, but I think that we have to stop like acting like our business, it's up to everybody else, or, you know, everybody else's fire needs to feed our fire. And we have to seriously like take that ownership, take that responsibility, figure out how we're going to create our own fire, and freaking show up and act like an independent coach. Did you guys know that that is actually the name of our business, what we are? We're independent team Beachbody coaches. Like legally, that is what we are called. That is our description of our jobs, or whatever you want to call it.
That is good to know.
Yeah. So I seriously feel like one of the biggest steps that so many coaches miss is the ownership part. And it was just funny how I kind of had this epiphany, like in church, as he's talking about church. Because honestly, I was like, wow, okay, I need to figure out like where I need to step up to the plate. So one thing that I want to say, like, one really big positive thing that I want to point out about this, because I know it almost kind of sounds like I'm like, we need to get better, we suck. Like, I'm not saying that. There's one big positive thing, you guys, about taking ownership of your business that I want to point out. And it was like a huge shift for me when I finally learned how to take ownership of my business. And one of the most awesome things about that is that once you do take ownership of your business and you really like step up to the plate and you're like, this is my business and I'm an independent coach and I can do what I want, you can do what you want. Like, it is your business and nobody else can tell you what the hell to do with your business. And that is like one of the coolest parts about taking ownership of your business. As long as you're like following the general guidelines, the general rules, following compliance, which is nothing crazy. As long as you're not going against compliance, guys, you can literally do whatever you want to do with your business. You can run it however you want to run it. You can make your own schedule. You can choose your own coaches. Like, you can run your business however you want to run it. You can make your, whatever groups you want to make. You can make your challenge groups, whatever you want to make them. There's so many coaches that run their businesses so many different ways. Like, I always look at all the different coaches that are successful and I'm like, they're so different. Like, look at Ashley Malstad, totally different coach. Like, she is not your coach that's like, I'm going to show up and show you that I'm eating healthy and I'm going to share my results. Like, she's the opposite of me. So I'm very much like, I'm going to always be showing you results and I'm going to always be accountable to my workouts. And I'm going to, you know, show you a very healthy lifestyle. I'm going to teach you that, you know, drinking all the time, drinking alcohol 24/7 is not good for you. Okay. And Ashley Molstad is the opposite. She's like, I'm going to show you that you can drink 24/7 and not get amazing results, but still live a kick-ass life and have a kick-ass business. Like, two completely different things, both successful. And then, you know, I think about coaches that like have completely different schedules. Like, one of the people that always comes to my mind is Brigida Linford. I remember a long time ago where she was like the first coach that was ever like, I'm going to schedule days off. And I remember like everybody being like, what are you doing? Like, how do you take like 2 days off? I personally could never like completely take 48 hours away from my business without feeling like I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like, the bottom's gonna fall out or something. That's just life in general for me though. Like, I could never imagine going a full 48 hours unless it's like a vacation or something like that. But Brigida Linford, every weekend, I don't know if she still does it, but back in the day, she would work her business Monday through Friday, and Saturday and Sunday, she did not work her business at all. And that was like her time with her family. And she's like, I don't care what it is. Like, I'm not working. Super successful coach. So that, I feel like, is one of the coolest things about taking ownership of your business, is that you can make it whatever you want and it's your business and nobody can tell you what to do with it. But you can only get to that point once you really seriously like take that ownership and step up to the plate and say like, this is my business and I'm going to freaking make it what I want. And I'm going to show up for my business and I'm going to treat it like a business and I'm going to share the opportunity and I'm going to take, you know, what I'm fed and I'm going to go feed other people with it. I'm not going to just keep it all to myself. And really, you know, giving yourself a gut check and being like, where do I need to get better? I know since I walked away from that church service, not only was I doing that in my business, but I was doing it with everything in my life. I'm like, man, where have I been selfish? Where have I not been showing up? Like, where do I need to get better? And I've really been like, you know, thinking on that for the last few days. That was Saturday night. So anyways, ending all this with my question to you is to really sit back and ask yourself, I mean, you can do it with your life in general, like I've been doing, but business wise, sit back and ask yourself, like, where do I need to take more ownership? Like, be real with yourself. Give yourself that gut check, you know, and be like, where have I really kind of been slacking? Where have I not been showing up? Or where have I been being selfish or being lazy or whatever it is? You know, where have I been holding back or walking in somebody else's shadows instead of, you know, coming out of my own comfort zone and doing my own thing? And ask yourself, where do I need to take ownership? And write it down. And be intentional about those areas. And there might be more than one area. There might be 5 areas. There might be all areas of your business. You might be like, man, I really haven't been taking ownership at all. I think we've all been there. So really seriously ask yourself and write those areas down. And, you know, for the rest of the month, be intentional about, hey, I'm going to show up. And I'm going to own these areas of my business. And I guarantee you, it will start to change. Like, you will see a shift in your business. And not only that, but I feel like when you really show up to the plate as a business owner, it does something for your confidence, and you're going to start to attract different type of people. Like, you're going to attract people that want to show up for themselves too, instead of these people that don't know how to show up for themselves and they're always waiting for you to show up for them, to try to get them to show up for themselves, which we all know doesn't work. It doesn't work. It might work like the first time you do it, but then if you don't talk to them for 2 days, then they fall off. And then here we are again, trying to remotivate those people. So when you really like make that shift where you're like, I'm going to show up for myself and I'm going to take ownership and be independent, you're going to start to attract people that do the same thing. And it makes everything go smoother. So anyways, that was my little tidbit on that. Let me see. My next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to try to screen share and see if I can share this video before we go into Power Hour. Why is it not giving me here? I don't know if this will work. I've never tried it before. I don't know if you can share audio when you screen share. But we'll try it. What is happening right now? There it is. Hey, Elise. I don't know why it's on your message. Well. That is not what I wanted to click on either. Now this thing's in the way. Hold on 1 second. All right, let's see if this works. I don't know if it will. Nope, I don't think it's going to.
There it is.
what a pleasure it is to come in here today and talk to you guys about gangster rap inviting or inviting like a boss. When you guys get in, just let me know you guys are here, leave a comment or a heart or.
All right, hold on. So can you guys hear that audio okay?
I can hear it, yeah.
You can hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna play it. Can you see it, Leslie?
It's paused, right?
Yeah.
When it was playing, she was pixelated, but I can see her now.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna play it for the sake of the video, for the recording. Have you watched this one yet, Leslie?
Part of it.
Okay. Like, why does these 5 million things always pop up?
Like that. I am really excited to talk about this topic today. First of all, let's just quickly throw it back just a second so you guys can understand. What's up, Joe? So I've been a coach for 6 years, and I will be the first one to tell you that I primarily relied on all of my posts and really relied on attraction marketing to grow my business. And I kind of kicked myself in the ass because I think it's an awesome way to grow, and I still use a lot of those techniques today. But I came to a point in my business last year where I realized that I needed to be connecting, and I needed to be inviting, and I needed to be taking ownership of my business, right? So instead of just posting online and basically what I consider is like fishing for business, I realized that I needed to be a lot more proactive in my business, and I really needed to take control of my business. And that meant that I needed to be inviting and I needed to be connecting. And it might sound like strange, thinking like, okay, well, how the hell did you grow a business for so long? But I really just relied on my posts. Like, I really just relied on putting out content and a lot of call to actions to grow my business, until this year when I saw a lot of my new coaches coming in with huge whys, huge goals, and hitting awesome ranks in the business because they literally put their heads down and acted like a CEO and did gangster rap inviting. And I am for that. So as you guys know, we are in a push group for diamonds, star diamond ranks. We have a big this is the time, this is the opportunity, what the okay? About what you guys can do right now to move the needle forward in your business. So whether you make yourself go to your stories, okay? I want you guys to think, and we've said this so many different times, but I love this analogy. I want you to think about if you just open a brick and mortar store. So say that you just open a coffee shop and you have a client that sells the most cup of coffee. Say that your coffee. From this, we stop ourselves before we even get started. And so one thing is your business. So if you're not where you're at right now in your business, it's because you're not offering the coffee or the Kool-Aid to enough people. This is all about numbers. All right, so as we're sitting here right now, season of push in the beginning of the year, in the first quarter, this is what's going to set our entire business up for 2019. You need to be working from a list, and you need to be gangster inviting. So if you're inviting one thing that I found with so many people, and then we expose. And so what I want you guys to do today is I want you guys to make that list like I told you guys. I want you to go through your Facebook friends, go through your Instagram friends, go through the people that are watching your stories, and I want you to not overthink the invite. I want you to go and pick up on the subtle clues of what people are talking about in their posts and use that why of theirs for why you're going to reach out. So for example, accountability, ourselves. So if you're looking at your business right now and you're going, okay, this is great, we're running all these groups, I don't know what to do, I'm not where I want to be right now in my business, I want you to look and you're never going to be able to know it's because they didn't up their activities. So here we are right now, and we're in this business. the first thing that I want you to do we are in this season, obviously right now we're all recruiting for coaching, training and posts about coaching. All your posts this entire week should be about coaching. How has coaching changed your life? Your before, your after. If you're new, is it because of the community? Is it because of the accountability? If you're new, is it because of the vision? Where are you going? You know, fake it till you make it, right? So where are you going with your life? What do you want to have? Do you want to eventually stay home with your kids? Maybe you don't even have kids yet, but that's a dream of yours. Project and share with your story with others, and make sure that this entire week, as we're in this process, that all of your posts are all about coaching. Same ask me anything coaching, right? So have people ask you all different questions about coaching so that you can learn where the objections are, right? You can learn where people are enough time. Make sure that you're using that time objective in your post this weekend, right? Maybe somebody was going you understand what is going on. And that's the same thing with all going on. I want to tell you, use this opportunity to invite Helly to the coaching opportunity. What if you just open your brick and mortar store? What are you going to do? You're going to start talking about it on your social media. You're going to you are going to go and follow new people online so that you can build new connections so that in a couple of years, and it's our job to expose other people to what we do and to what we have to offer. So if we're not doing that on a daily basis, a network of successful coaches that are going to be taking that information and doing all of the things that we're going to work for our dreams, and then we're going to go for those no's. So today, I want you guys to do a minimum of 2 things. I know you think, oh, you're crazy, but the thing is like, how big are your living in create that list and invite this whole entire you are 100% to absolutely and I know that they're going to is another opportunity. So coaching invites last week and you didn't hear that. So go back and do that they're so wonderful. So nothing that is change our personality to know that development and the business and we need to get all knows. This is just a big time in ourselves. That's what
all right. Let me stop the screen share. Okay, so I thought it was really funny when I watched that video how one of the first things she talked about was taking ownership. And I also loved how she said to go out there and serve people. Because, gosh, we get so, like she said, like we get so like stuck because we get so caught up in like caring what other people think. Like, who cares what other people think? If they can't appreciate what we have to offer, so what? Like, who cares, you know? And one day they probably will, and they'll probably come back to you. But what was I going to say? I was going to say something else about what she said. Oh, the other thing that I love that she talked about is how she talked about how, you know, these 20 no's today and these 20 no's tomorrow, those are going to be what helps me, you know, pay off credit card debt 15 months from now, or those are going to be what helps me, or that's going to be what helps me become a stay-at-home mom 2 years from now or a year from now or whatever. And it's so true, you guys, like you have to think about the bigger picture. You always have to be thinking about the bigger picture or you're going to get discouraged in the moment and you're going to get impatient and you're going to give up. A lot in this business, guys, is we have recurring income in our business, which means that you put in the effort in the beginning and it always pays off in the long run. Like you get rewarded for that. You get paid for that over and over again. That's what recurring income is. It's where you put the effort in the beginning and it continues to pay off in the long run. And I feel like a lot of people can get messed up with that sometimes because you do have to put some effort in the beginning before you see the payoff right away. You're not walking into a 9-to-5 job where you're punching a clock and you're getting paid the next week. And then that 40 hours last week is never to be seen again. So you get paid for it one time and then it's gone. Okay. It's not like that in this business. You put in the effort in the beginning. You might not see it right away, although you will see your commission right away. Okay. So keep that in mind. But the bigger picture, the higher income and all that, you might not see that right away, but it becomes recurring income. And the work you put in the beginning, you will get paid off for or get paid for over and over again in the long run. So put the work in, be patient, put the effort in. It will be worth it in the long run, and you're not going to lose that 40-hour work week that you put in. It's going to pay off in the long run. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording this call.